Hello everybody, welcome back. It's a gorgeous day today, Sunday, and we've had some peace this weekend with the works going on next door, and there's been a lot of stuff happening this week, so hopefully the situation may improve. But today I'm going to get out and really enjoy this garden, and it's probably about 1 o'clock now. Got a lot of stuff that I need to plant out that I haven't got done, and yeah, beetroot, some cauliflower, I've got some lettuce, there's loads of stuff that I need to move on, so I'll get the camera set up and we'll crack on. So in this area I want to put the beetroot in, and these beetroot have been left in these seedling trays, these module trays, for far too long, and this is what beetroot does when it runs out of nutrients and it isn't happy in the soil. The leaves go red. I'm hoping that by planting them out I'll save them and they'll grow on. I may have left it too late, but we'll see. So this part of the garden I planted onions in, and some have come through fine. These were sown as seed in February, the Elsa Craig. Further along the bed they're absolutely fine. This area, for some reason, they didn't all make it, so what I'm going to do is plant the beetroot in and amongst the onions that are here. I'm going to weed it as I go and get these beetroot in, and hopefully they'll come good. Mare's tail here. That actually came out pretty well. I've started to notice that we're getting it in various places in the garden. The bane of gardeners everywhere. Some more there. And all you can do is keep picking it, trying to get as much of the roots out as you can. And if you stop it photosynthesizing, if you can stop it growing, then you will eventually win. The problem we have is it's growing in from the site next door. That may improve as time goes on, as they develop it. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is dip some holes for this beetroot, about 8 inches apart, because I've multi-sown the beetroot in the trays. So there's 4 or 5 seedlings in each module. And the idea is that as they grow, they'll push each other apart, hopefully. And we shall see. Right. So let's get these out of these modules. They're really not happy. Totally pot bound, look. Been in there far too long. That's the problem. there we go. I'll carry on and get these beetroot in, and I'll bring you back for the next job. So that's 3 or 4 rows of beetroot in. We don't eat a lot of beetroot, but it's nice to have, nice to make some pickled beetroot. So I'll give those a water in a bit, and when I do some other stuff, and hopefully they'll settle down and pick up again. I've still got a bit of room left at the end of this bed, so I can plant some more things out between these onions. And yeah, let's get on with the next job. Cauliflower next. So this bed has got calabrese at this end, then cauliflower, then some red cabbage, and then kale, spinach and what have you at the far end. And this is what's left of one of the cauliflower, so that's coming out. And what seems to happen, that I think has been taken by a leather jacket by the looks of it. The roots have just been eaten away, so that is a common problem. However, slugs are one of the main problems I have with cauliflower, so I always sow some extras. And what I'm going to do is put a couple of these, 2 or 3 of these plugs in here, and hopefully they'll catch up and not get too crowded by the plants around. Again, these are way overdue being planted out, so I'm going to get these out. And you can see they've gone really leggy. Not got a lot of roots because they should have been potted on. That's the reason. But hopefully they'll pick up and give us some cauliflower. These can be planted much deeper than they were. On that note, I was asked by Suttons, the seed company, if they could link to one of my videos for their brassicas newsletter type thing. Their what do you call it now? It's like a newsletter, like a blog, and so I said yes, obviously, and yeah, so there's a link to a video I did last year on brassicas in that video, in that blog. There we go. I've got some space on the other side in the other netted bed as well, so I'm going to put the rest of those in there and then we'll get on with the next job. So back over at this bed, I've moved the few onions that were in this area and put them up there with the others. Found a couple of gaps I could squeeze them into. So what I'm going to do now is, from where the beetroot finish, is I'm going to plant the celery. And these are plants that I started from seed back in February, and they're doing okay actually, but they desperately need potting on or moving on. So I'm going to put them in this area. I'm going to put them about a foot apart because celery grows into quite a big plant, and I'm putting them in one of the shadiest areas of the garden because they like it to be, they like damp conditions, and this soil, if you go down a few inches, is quite damp. So get those in. Now in this area I'm going to put some salad leaves, lettuce that I've got growing, and I'm not putting them in here because they need protection, particularly with the netting. I'm just putting them here because this is a space that I've got available, and I will let them grow on in here. We'll use them as we need them, and when it comes time to put sprouts in here, which I'm going to sow next week for Christmas, then the lettuce can be taken out. But by the time the sprouts have grown on in trays and pots and they're ready to be put out, this lettuce will be ready for picking anyway, if not before. So I'm going to put these in really close together because I don't need them to get really big. We've got plenty of salad leaves around, so I'm just going to prick these out and put them in. Pretty close together, like I say. And just let them do their thing. Always end up with far too much lettuce. So what I'll do is I'll take whole plants to thin them out. We can always give it away if we have far too much. So it's been a cracking afternoon out here, and I've still got loads to do. I've got tomatoes to put in their final pots, little bush tomatoes, Tumbling Tom I think they are. I've got cucumbers to put on in the greenhouse, peppers for what they're worth. I've got loads of stuff I've got to do, but I think that's going to be another video in the week. So what I need to do now is give everything a good water. I haven't watered anything out here for quite a while, and there's a few things that I think need a watering, but what I'm also going to do is give them a feed, especially things like the onions, the leeks, the garlic, anything that's flowering, so the peas, the mange tout, the broad beans, and also the calabrese and the cabbage and all that sort of stuff, because they're really hungry plants, and it's good to give them a bit extra at this time of the year when things are really starting to take off. So what I'm going to do is use an organic seaweed mix, and this one is 30 millimeters for 10 litres. It's made by Westland, and you get a little measuring pot with it, but I know that that cap is about right. Not quite to the top, but about 2/3 of the way up the cap is about right. So I'll put that in an empty watering can, and then using another watering can, fill it up. And the reason I do it that way is, as you pour the water in, it mixes it, makes life easy. And this is rainwater that we've collected, and it's always better than tap water if you can. That said, I don't think we've had any rain, any decent rain, for probably 10 days, something like that. So we probably will have to start filling these water butts up with the tap if this warm weather carries on, which I hope it does, you know. So I'm going to water everything, I think, with this solution, except for the potatoes that I'm doing the experiment on with the different fertilizers, because that will obviously be cheating. Now when it comes to watering, I prefer to use a watering can than the hose pipe. And the reason for that is I actually find it quicker. If you're using a dip tank, you know, a water butt that you just dip the watering can into, normally I'd have 2 watering cans, but I'm still building the strength in my hand after the operation, and I find it much quicker. The other thing is, with a watering can, you can be a lot more accurate about where you water. So I'm not soaking the pathways and all of this timber and stuff as I'm doing this, because if I do that, I'm making it easier for slugs and snails to move around the garden and eat my plants. So doing it this way I find much easier. And also when I want to use a liquid feed, I can do that in here, whereas much harder to do with a hose pipe. You can buy dosing pumps and all that sort of stuff, but it's all money, more mare's tail. So I prefer a watering can. The other thing is, when you water, if you're going to water a lot. What you don't want is to just damp the surface. You want the water to go down into the soil, because then the roots are going to follow that down. If you only water the surface, there's a chance the roots are going to curl up to get that soil, get that water, and then you're going to end up with weak plants, and plants aren't very firm in the ground because their roots are near the surface. You want the roots to go down. Now a lot of people may say that watering in the sun like this is bad, and a lot of people believe that watering in the sun can scorch the leaves of the plants, because the water droplets magnify the sun's strength and you burn the leaves. In 20 odd years of gardening, I've never experienced that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I think in very hot parts of the world, yeah, maybe it could, but I've never experienced it in the UK. The disadvantage of waiting until the evening to water all the plants is the surface of the soil is then soaking wet, again allowing it for slugs, snails to move around. Whereas watering when there's a bit of sunlight left in the evening, like now, that soil surface has got time to dry out a bit. The best time I think to water is in the morning, early in the morning, but I don't always get a chance to do that with work, etc. So, but yeah, the theory of scorching leaves, it's a nice hot sunny day, so let's just imagine now that a storm came in for 20 minutes, everything got soaked, and then the sun came right out again. You don't see the farmer's fields all scorched when that happens. So I've never experienced it, that's only my opinion, but this is how I do it. If something needs watering, water it. Okay everybody, well there we go, an afternoon in the garden. Got a bit more done, a bit more planted out, a bit more weeding done, so everything's watered. Happy days. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you like this sort of content, then please do. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.